That quote from A Course in Miracles just rings in me. And it's not about out there, it's about in here. When this ancient place of resentment and anger and blaming and calling names and othering, when that becomes a place of love, then I live in a holy place, and then I can share that holy place with others. As long as it's going on in here, it's gonna go on out there. A few of us were at a kirtan on Friday, and the woman leading the kirtan kept saying, if you heal in here, it heals out there. Heal in here, it heals out there. That's a promise. So today we are honoring the International Day of Peace created by the UN. It celebrates the power of global solidarity for building a peaceful and sustainable world, commemorates the founding ideals of the United Nations to promote peace, end conflict, and foster global cooperation. Great, we have a UN. They have this as a stated goal. It's their vision for the world, their mission for the world. And yet what we know in here, what we truly know in our hearts, I think if we look within, is that we can never make someone be peaceful at the end of a gun. We can never make someone be peaceful by getting in their face and telling them how wrong they are. We can never make someone or help someone be peaceful when we have no peace within ourselves. When we have no peace within ourselves. So, I hate to tell you, once again, it's an inside job. It's an inside job. So we're going to talk about peace today. We're also going to talk about violence so that we can talk about nonviolence, so that we can talk about peace. So violence is not only out and out aggression, right? There are other kinds of violence. And peace is not just the absence of violence. Violence can be our anger. It can be our fear. It can be whatever leads us, whatever blinds us and leads us into disrespect, superiority, arrogance. Did you know that was a violence? Arrogance over someone else. Righteousness, shaming, shunning, ignoring. There's even some violence implied in when we try to do good works, when we make ourselves the helper for the one who really needs help. We are not on equal ground at that moment. We are in a way saying, this is me who has what I need, helping you who definitely doesn't. There's a wonderful book by Ram Dass and Paul Gore that goes into that. I will do a class on it someday. It's called Who's Helping? And it really makes us look within to find our motivations for helping, because if our motivation is to be the hero and to go find victims that we can save, yeah, I mean, in the outer world, bread is bread, right? But what is our motivation? We might be helping them on a physical level, but not helping them on a soul level. I remember hearing in a seminary class one day that if you can't look a homeless person in the eye and see them as a person while you give them your dollar or whatever, then you have not truly helped them. And I went and talked to a friend of mine who had been homeless for quite a while. And I said, how does that feel to you when I say that? How does that feel to you? He said, it was always a blessing if somebody would look at me and see a person. But a buck's a buck. So yes, that doesn't mean stop helping at the outer level. But it does mean start looking at what's going on in here. Because there's helping and there's helping. Right? Where you meet someone as an equal and you give according to what you have and according to their need. There's no superiority there. There's just an allowance of some tiny bit of equity. And that doesn't come from a place of arrogance. So all of those things can be violence. Words can be violence. You know, I've heard people say, well, he never hit me, when they've lived in an abusive relationship for years and years and years and years. Oh yeah, you get hit with words. You get hit with words. You get hit with implications and intimations and implied things. You get hit with being gaslighted. Those are all abuses, and they're all violence of a sort. You get hit with threats. That's violence of a sort. You get hit with name calling, for sure, that's violence. So when we try to have peace, we first have to become aware of the ways in which we're violent, the ways in which we do what we hate other people doing, right? It's so easy to see how they're wrong. Well, from their side, it's so easy for them to see how we're wrong. Now, I'm not going to say I'm right and they're wrong. Well, I will. Most days you'll hear me say that. But it's really not for us to decide. It's really for us to find the common ground. And if we start looking for the common ground, we all have an amazing amount of common ground. An amazing amount of common ground. Even statistically, politically, we have an amazing amount of common ground. And we're ignoring that partly because we are being led by a machine, by algorithms that feed us what we want to hear and feed them what they want to hear. And we never hear what they hear, and they never hear what we hear, and we can't understand why they're so crazy. And they can't understand why we're so crazy. Let go of the algorithms and meet people. Meet people and ask questions. Use curiosity. Because the desire for something good plus your ego can equal violence. The desire to make a change for good, and then my ego's in charge of that now, we're going to go do good, can actually create violence. That's the brilliance of Martin Luther King's letters from a Birmingham jail when he said, you know, the first thing, there's 4 steps. The first thing you do is gather information. And then you determine, is there actually a problem? You know, is there something that needs to be addressed? And then you go do it, right? No. The third step, as he laid out, is purification. Go in with yourself and with the group that you might be doing something with, and make sure that your motives are pure. Make sure that the violence in you will not be triggered by the violence in them. Get into a peaceful place. Know that you might be spit on, and make sure that you can take that without retaliating. And if you can't, it's not time for you to do the action yet. Because if you do the action and then you react with violence, you've simply created more violence. That's why the civil rights movement was so powerful. Because that's what he insisted on. We're going to get together and we're going to talk to each other and we're going to support each other and we're going to each go within and we're going to find a way to stay peaceful even in the horrible, horrible craziness. And they would all go to jail and they would sing together. Not singing, "We hate you," just singing positive things. Been a lot of accounts of jailers that were moved to tears by the singing, by the lack of hate, by the, we just had this done to us and we are not turning to hate. I have said, and I will say over and over again, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever said, is that hate never wins until it wins in you. The moment that you allow circumstances to bring hate into your own consciousness, then yeah, hate has won. But no matter what happens out there, no matter who does what, if you have love in your heart, then hate has not won. And so you fill your heart with love, and you give that love, and you share that love, and then more and more people loving, facing the hate. Here's what I also believe. Absolutely. Love vibrates at such a stronger, higher level than hate, that 2 hates and 2 loves aren't equal. 2 hates are going to counterbalance 2 loves. 2 loves are going to counterbalance 2 hates every time. Is this feeding back, Perry? Can you turn me down a little bit? Love wins. Love wins, but only if you use love. And hate never wins, no matter what kind of good cause you are basing your hate on. So, desire plus openness equals nonviolence and peace. Desire plus ego equals violence. So can this work? How? How do we do this? How do we go about this? This is hard. Yes, it is hard to be nonviolent. So awareness, okay? And that's the first step in Birmingham jail. Be aware, listen, notice the violence in your own head. Notice the violence in your own words. Notice when your thoughts, your feelings get hooked. The patterns that you've established inside yourself, the buttons that have been installed throughout your life, when they get pushed, that's an indication that you're allowing something out there to hit something in here. And you can make a decision about that. You can allow that to heal. You can allow it to pass through and heal and not be a button anymore. What if you got rid of your buttons? I've gotten rid of a lot of my buttons. Unfortunately, I still have a lot of buttons, like 1912 buttons, before zippers. There's a lot of buttons, but you can get rid of buttons. You absolutely can. So you notice, and then the moment you notice, all you do is interrupt the pattern. When you have the hateful thought, you're watching the news, you go, I'm glad whoa, did I just say that? I'm glad someone is hurt. Did I just say someone deserved to be killed or hurt or shunned or shamed? Okay, I'm going to take some deep breaths. And I'm going to say, that's not me. That's not what I hope. It's not what I believe at depth. Anything, take a walk. Do something different, because your pattern might be, I don't know what yours is, your pattern might be, you have the thought, and then you say the thought, and then you gather consensus. Don't you think so too? Maybe you post it. Maybe you talk to your spouse who's in the room with you. Maybe y'all talk about it for a long time and get each other real riled up. Maybe it spoils your dinner. Maybe. Or maybe you squelch it and you just stack it on a bunch of other negative stuff that you're going, well, I don't want to be negative. I'm a positive person. And you just keep stacking it until the day that it blows, right? So we're not talking about repressing. We're talking about interrupting. Take some breaths. Put your mind somewhere else. Replace the thought. That's a good thing to do. Replace the thought. I hope he heals. I hope he finds love. I hope at some point he gets to understand what he's doing and how it's harming. I hope he decides not to harm. I hope whatever. Replace it. Or just replace the thought about you. Oh, no, this is making me feel hateful, and that's old stuff in me, and I don't have to listen to the old stuff in me. This is who I want to be. I can feel it. I can feel it for a minute. I don't have to repress it. I can go, oh, I'm feeling that. I feel it. Where does that come from? How can I breathe into it? How can I feel it but let it go? And then what's next? The other thing you can do is active listening. Give people your full, undivided attention and focus on understanding not necessarily the words, but the message, the intent, the feeling behind what's happening. Because the Dalai Lama says, everybody, everything they say and everything they do They're trying to avoid suffering and be happy, just like you and I are trying to avoid suffering and be happy. They're just going about it in a different way. They're just going about it in a different way. So, 3 C's, communication, not talking at. The Buddha said, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. And collaboration, by not talking at, by working with, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Yeah, is that socialism? Karl Marx said that. Well, actually, first, somebody else said that. I don't have to read it all, but it was in the Guilford Covenant of 1649. It was said by Etienne Gabriel Morelli in his Code of Nature. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. And he said the sacred and fundamental laws, these were the sacred and fundamental laws that would tear out the roots of vice and all the evils of society. That's what he believed. So in 1755, he said that. Going back and back, the Apostle Paul said the same thing, basically, in the book of Acts. He said, distribution was made unto every man according as he had a need. And then every man according to his ability determined to send relief. This is an old idea. And that is what puts us on level ground. We don't all need the same things. I need things. The things I need are because I can't make them myself. I'm not just talking about physical things, but if I can't remember, then maybe your job is to remind me if you are in remembrance that day, right? If I can't feed myself, your job is to feed me. I mean, Jesus said, love your neighbor, and he said, if you want to love me, feed my sheep. If you want to know how to love me, feed my sheep. Not all this other stuff, not all these rules and regulations, not get dunked or sprinkled. Feed my sheep. Feed my people. And that is why this nonviolence is why even our board at this church does not uses only as a last resort the Roberts Rules. Because in Roberts Rules, if you have 6 people and 4 vote for and 2 vote against, then the 4 win and the 2 lose. In the model that we use is the discussion goes around, and the people who don't want it get to explain why they don't want it, and the people who do want it get to explain why they do want it. And we go around until we come to consensus. And I gotta tell you, unanimous consensus has happened. There has been 1 vote in 7.5 years of working with the board. There was 1 time when we did not come to agreement, and we just had to go, we've got to go with what the majority says, because we're not coming to a consensus here. We tried for a long time. But consensus, and then everybody's happy. Everybody got to say what they wanted to say. Everybody gets to make a compromise that still meets their needs, right? Consensus. All of this that I'm talking about to you today can be said very simply in Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements, right? Be impeccable with your word. Before you say something, when you have a thought, even a thought is a word, when you have a thought, pause. Is that really the truth? Is that really what I want to say aloud? Is that me being impeccable toward myself? If the thought is against you, then yeah, that's a thought you need to pause too. You're no worse than anyone else. Your duty is to love yourself as much as it is to love anyone. And then when we do that, we don't have to get into our defense mode, which is really the place where we create the most offense, right? Best defense is a good offense. I learned that well as a child. Oh yeah, well you take the spotlight off me and put it on you, because what you did is way worse than what I did. Yeah, no. That is not peace, by the way. I read years ago, I mean, I was a maybe 12 or 13, reading a novel, and I heard these words. I can't even remember the novel it was, but a mother was telling her daughter, never put down in writing what you wouldn't want to see in newsprint. Never put down in writing what you wouldn't want to see in newsprint. And every once in a while, I get an email, and I start to answer it, and I go, okay, edit. Okay, I got all that out. Good. Okay, now, dear so-and-so, yes, thank you. Send the email. Right? Even with texts, I'm very careful about what I ever write down, because then it's there and anybody can see it. But that's very good advice, by the way. But the words you speak can't be taken back either. And though you may forget you've spoken them, another person in the room may not forget. If you've ever had a child, you know that's true, because they'll tell you you said things that you don't remember ever saying, and that it stuck with them. Yikes, good. Thank God we need a lot of grace as parents. We need a lot of grace as children, and we can get it. We get it. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. Don't, take 10 breaths before you say what it is you want to say, and make sure that is something you really want to say. Don't feel, here's the deal. Use I language, but not, I feel you need to, right? And really the way to turn somebody off is say, you know what you need? Yeah, I language. But real I language. Look at yourself. Look within. It's always within. It's always within. No matter what they're doing, it's about you. It really is. And don't take anything personally. When you don't take it personally, there's no need to defend. And then you end up not offending. When you don't take it personally, all you have to do is give it a little bit more space, a larger context. Like, yeah, okay, I hear those hateful words, what feel like hateful words to me coming out of that mouth. I don't have to take them in. Those are her words. She may think they're about me, but they're coming from whatever mess is going on inside of her. I don't have to take them on at all. Don't take things personally. And if you don't take it personally, you won't feel like you have to retaliate. You won't feel like you even have to answer. You can just write, thank you. Send off the email. The third agreement is don't assume. Very, very important in nonviolent communication. Beginner's mind. We think we know. We hear one thing about a person. We hear how they voted. We hear where they live. We hear what kind of car they drive. We hear where they went to school, maybe. And then we think, oh, that kind of person. We've got it all wrapped up. We don't know. We make all kinds of assumptions, and they are not true. And we make assumptions because we're not brave. We're not brave enough to be vulnerable enough to just listen and use our curiosity. And so let's be brave. Let's take a moment and go, wait a minute, I don't actually know. In the mind of the expert, there are very few possibilities. In the mind of the beginner, there are endless possibilities. Let's be a beginner. I heard what you said. Tell me more. I'm not sure I heard that right. Can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me more about that? Don't make assumptions. At least allow for the possibility that don't assign motive of people. Don't accuse people. If you desire to understand, if your desire to understand is greater than your desire to be right, then you will listen. You will listen. And if you're going to assume, this is really helpful, assume the best intent. Assume not and say, she did that because she's been holding a grudge against me for 40 years. That's why she said that. You don't know that? So why don't you go, she probably said that to me because she's, having a bad day and it just slipped out or whatever. Don't assume malintent, or she just doesn't understand. He said that to me because, maybe because he was fighting back against something that I did. Maybe I can breathe into that and let that go and realize that I just got a little hit of karma. Maybe. Pema Chodron says we all have basic goodness. which naturally responds to the basic goodness of others. But the right conditions have to be there for this positive inclination to come out. How we communicate is crucial. When we set ourselves apart and speak from our neurosis to the other's neurosis, how often is it your neurosis talking to their neurosis? We create further division. But when we come from a place of shared humanity, our speech can have the effect of healing. We are nonviolent when our speech uncovers our interconnectedness instead of reinforcing the misunderstanding that we are separate. Yeah, don't assume. Create the conditions for your basic goodness to be able to see their basic goodness. And that includes not just assigning motive, not accusing, not using you language, not coming at somebody with all barrels blazing. And then, always do your best. That's the last one. That's the last agreement. You will not do this perfectly. I learned at church today, and now I'm never going to have another enemy, and things are going to flow from now on. I'm going to watch the news. I'm not even going to get upset anymore. I'm going to know exactly what to do. No, probably not. And if you do, call me. I want your secret. I want your secret. Always do your best and be aware that your best will change from day to day. If you didn't eat, if you didn't sleep last night, if your spouse is in the hospital, probably your response is not going to be as great as it would be on a day when you were well fed and well slept and not scared about other things. So your best changes. Be gentle with yourself. Nonviolence begins at home. Start by being nonviolent to yourself. Stop shaming yourself. When you think that's the first thing that happens. This is the Buddha's first era, is that suffering happens, right? Things happen in the world, and boy, we feel them as pain. And then when we have various ways of making that pain, of sustaining that pain again and again and again and over and over and over again, we're shooting the second arrow at ourselves, is what he says. So let's say, I shouldn't have thought that. Oh, if I was a better person, I wouldn't have thought that. I shouldn't have said that. I did it wrong. Well, no. How about, that wasn't my best. I'm going to try next to be impeccable with my word. Next time I'm going to try to be impeccable. That already happened. It's too late. So what can I do going forward? Next time I can listen. I can seek to understand. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Should can be a violent word. I should have done that. She should have done that. They should have. You know, here's the deal. According to you, just change should to could. I could have done it differently. Unfortunately, this time I didn't. They could have done it differently, but it was their choice, and this is the way they did it. So how do I meet that in reality and take it in and decide what my response needs to be, if any? Should means there's one possibility. Could means there's any number of possibilities. So don't should on yourself or others. All right. Are you ready to be gentle with yourself so that you can learn to be gentle with others, so that you bring peace into this world? I'm going to leave you with a beautiful, beautiful prayer that speaks to exactly what we're talking about. It's attributed to St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon, forgiveness. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. That's what I want to do. O Divine Master, grant that I may not seek so much to be consoled as to console another, to be understood. Wait a minute, let me explain myself. As to understand. Wait a minute, let me listen. See if I can get where this is coming from. To be understood is to understand, to be loved as to love. If you want to be loved, give a lot of love. I promise you will get loved. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying to the old patterns of thinking and behaving that we are born to eternal life. Thank you. I may have talked a little long, go figure. Let's do a brief meditation, if you will. We're going to just take a moment to cultivate peace. Ram Dass says, ideally, you are an environment. What if you're an environment where peace can flourish? Take in a few breaths. And see that at this moment, you are in the context of an environment of peace. You are in this room with souls who are here because they want to learn to live more effectively, more skillfully, to love more fully and freely, to connect with one another. And you are one of those souls, and I suspect that's one of your aspirations. So as you breathe, in your mind speak this prayer: make me an instrument of peace. Make me a tool, a peaceful tool, a tool that brings peace. And when I see what looks like hatred, let my response be love. When I've taken offense at someone, when I've made an assumption, when I've allowed my trigger to be pulled, help me forgive. And when I doubt, help me to call on all the faith within me, all the faith around me. I can borrow someone else's faith if I need to. Where there is despair, when we're just about to give up, I want to maintain my hope, which is really a version of faith. This world was created in goodness. Therefore, there is good. It is not mine to despair. Where there is darkness, help me shine a light. Help me shine the light of love, the light of understanding, the light of willingness, the light of forgiveness, the light of joy, the light of curiosity. Where there is sadness, joy. Joy never comes once the sadness is completely ended, because the sadness never completely ends. There's always something else. But the joy gets to live right alongside it, and joy vibrates at a much higher level than sadness. So when I am feeling sadness, when I am seeing sadness, help me raise my vibration of joy. And oh, divine presence, help me not be seeking for other people to do for me what I could be doing for myself and for them. Sure, if there's consolation offered, I get to receive it, but I don't have to beg it. I can console myself, and from that place, I can see others whose need to be consoled is maybe even stronger than mine, and lend them my love, my peace, my consolation. Help me not focus on how other people don't understand me, so that I feel I need to explain over and over and over again. Help me to ask questions as I'm trying to truly understand another. By asking curious, open-ended questions, I may find that I understand myself a lot better, for we are one. We cannot gain understanding without also gaining self-understanding. Help me not so much seek to be loved. Give me love, give me love, give me love. No, but to give love, for it is in giving that we receive. It is in giving that we receive. To give is how to recognize that we already have received. If you have love to give, that means you've got love. Straight from the heart of the divine. You are love, and you always have been. If we want forgiveness, then we start by forgiving. If we want to be born into a different way of being, we have to become aware and interrupt and let go of the old ways that don't serve us and that don't serve those around us. This is a kind of death, but it's not a scary death. It's a death that guarantees an immediate new birth of joy and power and presence and love and peace. Help me to hold these in mind so that I may cultivate within myself an environment of peace. Let me be an environment where peace can take place. And as we ask, so we receive. And so it is. Amen.